So the last will be first, and the first last. This verse, Matthew 20:16, is a part of the parable of the laborers in the vineyard. The parable explains that a landowner goes out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard, agreeing to pay them a denarius, the usual daily wage. Throughout the day at 9 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., and even 5 p.m., he goes out and hires more workers. He simply promises to pay those hired later, whatever is right. At the end of the day, when it's time to pay the workers, the landowner instructs the foreman to pay those hired last first, giving them a full day's wage, that is, a denarius. Saying this, the workers hired first assume they will receive more, but they are also paid the agreed upon denarius. They grumble against the landowner, stating it's unfair that those who worked only for 1 hour receive the same amount as those who bore the burden of the day and the scorching heat. The landowner responds by reminding them of their agreement and defends his right to be generous with his own money, asking, "Is your eye evil because I am good?" In this parable, the landowner represents God and the vineyard represents God's kingdom or God's work. The parable illustrates that God's generosity extends to everyone, regardless of when they begin working for Him, and that His kingdom operates on a principle of grace, not strict merit. The parable also illustrates that rewards in God's kingdom are not earned based on the length or intensity of service, but are a gift of God's grace. All who respond to God's call, regardless of when they enter the vineyard of faith, ultimately receives the same blessing of eternal life. The parable critiques the human tendency to compare oneself to others and to be envious of God's generosity. The parable highlights the landowner's character, representing God, who acts out of compassion and sovereign will rather than solely based on the worker's performance. So, through this beautiful parable of the workers in the vineyard, Jesus is trying to tell us that God's grace and generosity transcend expectations of fairness, offering hope and inclusion to all who accept the invitation to the kingdom of heaven.